My name, even when written correctly in the official records, meant very little. I was a name that fit in the margins of ledgers, that got lost on signature lines, that tired halfway out of a clerk's mouth. I lived in Petersburg, or rather, I was kept in Petersburg's cold, in a narrow room and an even narrower salary. Every morning I went down the same stairs, crossed the same frozen streets, and arrived at the same smelling corridor. My duty was to copy documents clean. I made other men's words, orders, and errors legible. My own life was never copied clean. My desk was not near the window, which was a mercy, for the cold from the glass made even the paper tremble. I would sit, tap my pen against the inkwell, and lose myself between the lines. When I wrote a single letter beautifully, a small joy woke inside me. No one knew this. To them I was like a piece of furniture that rustled on its own. The young clerks would drop scraps of paper on my shoulder, whisper mocking sounds in my ear, touch my collar and laugh. I bowed my head and kept writing. Sometimes a man does not protest in order to protect himself, but every silence means another small place inside him has closed. I had learned, above all, to measure my voice. If I spoke too loud, they laughed, too low, they said they could not hear. So I left my sentences somewhere in the middle, a place that struck no one, disturbed no one, and most often reached no one. At lunch, while the tea glasses went round and others spoke of promotions and inheritances, I cleaned my pen and straightened the tails of my letters. The letters were kinder to me than people. If you paid them enough attention, they at least kept their shape. My overcoat, meanwhile, had long been aging faster than I was. Its cloth, once brown, had turned the color of cold and melted snow. The lining of the collar was unraveling thread by thread, the shoulders had worn so thin the fingers of the wind could reach inside. I cannot say it warmed me, it only let me notice the cold a little later. Still, the coat was mine. A poor man's belongings are loyal not because they are used, but because they cannot be abandoned. One morning I could no longer ignore the ache in my back. The wind found a tear and sat directly on my spine. That evening I went to the tailor. The shop was small, smelling of hot iron, old cloth, and patience. The tailor lifted my coat to the light with 2 fingers. On his face appeared the look of a doctor grieving not for the patient, but for the illness itself. "This cannot be patched," he said. "No coat will come from this anymore." Hearing that, I felt as if it were not only my coat held to the light, but me. Would nothing come of me either? He said I needed a new coat. When he named the price, I did not understand at first. The figure was too large to pass through the ordinary roads of my life. I began to save. I gave up tea. I burned my candles almost to the end. I thinned my evening soup. I trod carefully to spare the soles of my shoes. My landlady said I had grown even quieter than before. I smiled at her. Silence is the cheapest fuel a poor man has, it burns the inside but gives off no smoke. For months, the thought of my new coat kept me company like a secret friend. When the wind cut my face on the way to work, I would say, "Hold on a little longer." The matter was never about beating the others. I only wanted a shape in which I could stand in a crowded room without being entirely erased. Poverty's worst cruelty is that it shrinks even your desires, and then, when those tiny desires go unmet, you cannot feel wronged enough even to be ashamed. The day we chose the cloth, I believed for the first time that a decision was mine. We chose a grey fabric, somewhere between dark navy and green, with a black velvet collar. As the tailor took my measurements, I spread my arms and looked at myself in the mirror. I saw a narrow-shouldered, pale-faced clerk with round glasses and a thin moustache. But for once, there was a line around that figure that did not dissolve, as if someone had drawn me in ink, not in pencil. When the new coat was ready, I woke earlier than usual. Even the light in the room looked different. When I took the coat onto my shoulders, I felt its weight, and this weight did not crush me, it bound me to somewhere. I straightened my scarf before the mirror. I took my small leather bag, closed the door, and went down the stairs. That day the street was the same street, the snow the same snow, but the wind could not reach me as easily as before. At the office, the doorman noticed me first. then the clerk at the next desk, then the youths who always laughed. Someone said, "Look." Everyone turned to me as if a window had opened. They did not know what to say. A mockery falters when it finds no shame waiting ahead of it. Then the compliments came. They spoke of the collar, the cloth, the bearing of the coat. I bowed my head, but the child inside me lifted his. For the first time in years, my name passed not through a laugh, but through an invitation. That evening there was a small gathering at a colleague's house. I did not want to go, crowded rooms frightened me. Yet I went, because it was as if the coat were going, and I only walked inside it. I left late. As the streets of Petersburg widened, so did the dark. The lamps fell behind me, and my own footsteps sounded foreign in the empty square. I raised the collar of my coat. Just then two shadows appeared. One seized my arm. The other hung from my collar. I tried to shout, but my voice, rusted from years of disuse, would not open like a long-shut door. It lasted only seconds. Then I was on the ground, my shoulders bare. The wind rushed into me so fast it was as if they had stripped not my coat, but me. I went to the police. They asked the color of the coat, the cloth, where it was stolen. As their questions multiplied, the coat moved further away from me. They were keeping a record of an object, yet I felt as if I were the one who had been lost. The next day they said I must appeal to a higher authority. I stood before an important person, trembling inside a thin jacket. The man was vast behind his desk. I shrank beside the door. He spoke as if measuring not how high my voice could rise, but how low his own could descend. He told me of procedure, of rank, of the weight of his office. Anyone who remembers protocol before noticing that a man is cold has always seemed a little like winter to me. I went home with a fever. The walls drew closer. In my delirium I saw my coat hanging by the door, its collar neat, not a single snowflake melted upon it. I reached for it, but my hand caught only air. Perhaps a man falls ill when he loses the thing in which he first felt visible. Soon after, the Petersburg cold seemed to call me out of my body. They say a clerk's ghost wandered the bridges and squares, pulling coats from the shoulders of confident men. At last I found that important person, his face red with cold. He did not know me, he had never truly known me in life. I laid my hand on his collar, and this time my voice came, low and windblown but clear. I, too, used to be cold. For the first time his face held not a rank, but a man. When snow falls in Petersburg, and the collar of an old coat trembles in the wind, I am a little there. I once wanted to be seen. I wanted a coat. Not only to keep out the cold, but so the world would not erase me completely.